This is me training for my second Olympic distance triathlon, but that means I had to do my first one. So for this video, we're heading back about 4 weeks just outside Dundee for my first Olympic distance triathlon. This triathlon was taking place at Monikie Country Park, just outside Dundee, Scotland. It was an Olympic distance triathlon, which means it's a 1,500 metre swim, or it's supposed to be. It ended up being slightly short, a 40 kilometre bike ride, and finally a 10 kilometre run to finish off the race. Let's head straight to the swim start and get a show on the road. The swim start for this, my second triathlon, was a in-water start, a little bit different to the beach start from the Nairn triathlon a few weeks ago. So everyone was in the water for a quick orientation swim, and then we were lined up between two boys. The whistle sounded and away we went. It was a little bit chaotic at the start, with everyone trying to get as far forward between the boys as they could. So I decided to go max power as soon as the whistle went, to try and get away from the crowds and get some nice clear water to swim in. And I managed this pretty well. There was a small group of us broke away, and then eventually, by the time we reached the first buoy, I was out by myself with a nice lead to second in the wave. The swim course was 2 laps of these 3-buoy triangle, and then a little bit of a longer end to get to the point where we came out of the water. On the first lap, I had a good lead. As we pushed around halfway through the second lap, I was caught up by one other swimmer who eventually came out of the water just a few seconds ahead of me. I was very, very pleased with the swim. It went well. There was strangely a lot of like seaweeds, or not sea, we're in the sea, but like grass stuff, reeds coming up from the bottom. So when my stroke was coming over and I was doing my catch, I was catching a lot of stuff in the water, and I ended up getting stuff stuck between my legs. I was trying to kick off, but all in all, great swim. I was really chuffed with it. I was very, very surprised when I seen my swim time was in the 22 minutes. I was expecting about 30, but then I did find out later on that the swim ended up only being about 1,200 metres rather than the 1,500 metres it should have been. So that was slightly disappointing, but I was still delighted with the time and the pace for the swim. Now on to T1. I'd learned a lot in my first triathlon at Nairn a couple of weeks ago, especially in the transitions. So transition 1 was very nice and quick. I got my wetsuit off, my shoes on, my helmet on, the bike unracked, and out really quickly, by my standards anyway. Now on to the bike course, the most difficult of the 3 disciplines this week. We had an out into the country roads, and then 2 laps of a circuit out in the country. This included a local infamous KOM called Carrot Hill, and it was very difficult. The first time around, I didn't know what to expect. I'd never done it before, and it was extremely steep and very slow. It was a grind, but I was there for it, and I managed to smash it out, get round to the second lap, and it was definitely easier second time round because I knew what to expect, and I was ready just to push on and get the cycle over with. Finishing the cycle and into transition number 2. Again, very slick, very streamlined for me. Wrapped the bike, helmet off, shoes off, running shoes on with the new elastic laces, making it a lot quicker to get those running shoes on. And then boom, I was out for the transition and on to the run. The run course here at Monikie Olympic Triathlon was 4 laps in total. 2 laps of the both reservoirs in the park together, 2 laps of the south pond to finish off the 10k. I felt great on the run. It started off nice and quick. I was hoping to get a sub 1 hour 10k, which I know I can do on its own, but at the end, last discipline of an Olympic triathlon, I wasn't sure how this would go, so I started off with a really good pace. Unfortunately, on lap 2 of the run, my left hamstring cramped up really bad. It had been threatening to cramp on the bike, but it cramped up really bad. I don't know why this was. I felt like my nutrition, my hydration, electrolytes was all really good on the bike and the run, so I don't really know why this happened, but I stopped for 5-10 seconds maybe, stretched it off the best I possibly could, and then it never really bothered me for the rest of the race. The stretching off seemed to work. I changed my running style very slightly to try my best to protect that and not straighten the leg too much so it wouldn't cramp up. And we carried on, went round. It was great being able to pass the transition area 3 times because I had all my family there and they were all cheering and supporting me every time I came around. So that was just a great experience, and it really gave me a lift every time. And I was able to speed it up the last half kilometre and fly around, and ended up with a just over 55-minute split time for the run, which I was delighted with, considering I was hoping for under an hour. And there we have it, the Monikie Olympic Triathlon 2025 completed. My first Olympic distance triathlon, only my second one ever, and I once again absolutely loved it. As you see here, as I said earlier, I'm training for my next Olympic triathlon. It's taking place on the 7th of September near Aberdeen. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been training hard, I've been losing even more weight. I'm going to make an update video soon on the channel about my weight, considering the people who've been watching from the start. That's what this was really all about this year, until I got a bit ahead of myself and started signing up for all these triathlons. But I'll make a video about that. And I'm really hoping I can put in a good performance and hopefully better my time from Monikie. It will be difficult because the swim was short at Monikie, and I'd imagine in Knockburn it's going to be the correct length. So it will be difficult to get a better time, but I've just got to go out there and do the best I can. We're going to have that video coming soon. The next video on the channel is going to be me next week going on a cruise and trying to not put on too many pounds at the buffet and train as best I can for that 5 days on the cruise leading up to this next triathlon. So make sure to hit subscribe, come back and check that video out in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks for watching.